Welcome back to the program, Overcoming Dyslexia. It's a very common learning disability. Syllabus Reading Center offers a plethora of tools to help. And joining me now, Jennifer Hasser, Executive Director of Syllabus Learning Center and the past president as well of the International Dyslexia Association. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start first and talk a little bit about the signs of dyslexia and when a parent might notice that, hey, I think my child might have this. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, actually, at Syllables, what we do is we talk to parents on a daily basis. They are calling us in a panic, and they are wondering, what could we do, what's going on, I don't understand. Most parents think that you read to your child when they're young in order to make them better readers, and sometimes when they start learning how to read, it doesn't click the way they expect. So they're concerned and they're afraid, and they need to understand that reading to your child will build their vocabulary, and it will make them, have broader knowledge and more intelligent, and it's an excellent thing to do. But decoding, which is the actual breaking down of the words, is a different part of the brain. It's a different skill. It's a different subset of skills that are pieced together, because language is something you're born with. People learn to speak naturally. They will learn to speak no matter what language they're in. But reading is a man-made construct. It is not something that you'll naturally learn how to do. So sometimes you have to figure out what might be causing a problem with the reading, because since it's man-made, I often use analogies, and I'll say, if you want to play basketball, not everybody's going to be good at basketball. It's a man-made construct. It's a man-made sport.
Right.
So, sometimes I make that analogy to help parents understand, saying, your child might be uncoordinated reader, per se, like basketball, or a short reader. and that way, we can tell them, what really is causing it, but then they can understand it. Because as Paul referenced earlier, it's invisible. And so when it's invisible, they don't understand that different things play a role. Phonological memory, your ability to hear and hold on to sounds in words. Phonological awareness, which is your ability to rhyme. So little kids who can't rhyme, don't understand nursery rhymes or don't enjoy nursery rhymes, that's a huge warning sign. So there's quite a few of them.
And when would you notice it? I mean, what age?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of kids that I see for the first time, I see around 2nd or 3rd grade, because that's when you stop learning to read and you're reading to learn, and they haven't learned to read, and they can't keep up with their peers, and they can't do what they need to do to get by. When those parents find out what the warning signs were, 9 times out of 10, they're just like, why didn't I know this sooner? And the reality is that the brain research out there and the things that we know about dyslexia in the last 15 years, there's so much information out there that just has not made it to the public. But you can predict dyslexia with 90% accuracy at 4 years old. And since we know we can predict it, what that means is we have to look and see what's going on with them as they enter school. Can they rhyme? Can they hear these sounds? Can they pull words apart? And if they can't do those things, then that's the time we should be starting with intervention. So I work with public schools as well, and we go in and we assess the kindergartners on all of these subgroups, and then we begin working with them earlier, because that's part of the process, the identification and of kids that might have difficulty. They might not, because it's 90% accurate. But getting a little extra help in phonemic awareness and rhyming and letter identification and sounds and pairing those together is not going to hurt anybody. And then we can make that gap smaller so that they don't have to make up all that extra time in 3rd grade, that they get the extra help that they need a little bit earlier.
So I want to take a look at a full screen that we have that has some interesting information that we found. A few things every child with dyslexia wants you to know. There it is right there. Take a look at that. You'll see, number 1, I'm not stupid or lazy. I need time to get things done. Number 2, sometimes I just need to work in a different way to get the job done. 3, my dyslexia does not only affect my literacy skills. 4, I need you to be patient with me. 5, I find visual reminders helpful. And 6, I often like to work in a quiet room as I can find noises distracting. What do you think about this list right here?
I think it's a great list. I've worked with thousands of kids over my last 20 years, and I'm also the parent of a dyslexic daughter. And that number 1, it's really important, because dyslexia it's like saying if you have dyslexia that you're not intelligent is completely false. I'm terrible at basketball. That doesn't mean I'm not intelligent.
Right.
Reading is a man-made construct. So You know, I often joke that I have Dyslexia because I cannot dance, and I'd hate for people to say, "Wow, you know, she seems so smart, but we saw her dance." So for kids, you know, you need to take away that reading is intelligence, because it's really not intelligence. It's what you do with that information. So sometimes they might need to listen to audiobooks. They might have to have things read to them. It takes them a little bit longer to get through material, and they have to read it multiple times occasionally to make sure they're reading it correctly and that they got all the information. So it can be very frustrating for a child and take a lot of extra time. And teachers are, you know, I mean, I'm a former classroom teacher. You're always in a hurry. You got a lot of things to do. And when you're like, come on, come on, come on, if you can't finish that, you can take it home for homework. And that really doesn't thrill a child. So, you know, that creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. And then whenever you're under stress or anxiety, everything is harder to retrieve. So word retrieval becomes more difficult. Getting your assignments done becomes more difficult. So a lot of these things, really it's just an understanding that not everybody is kind of created equal when it comes to learning how to read.
And so I would presume, too, that with working with experts like yourself, that children can learn the skills they need, right?
Absolutely.
To basically work through this issue.
Right. I mean, dyslexia is something that's going to be with a child for their lifetime. It's a different way of processing information. So we want to make sure that the parents know these signs and what they are at different ages, so they can be there to guide them and help them at different points in their struggles.
Now, Jennifer, we have your, I guess, a website and a phone number for people if they have some information. It's been up on the screen a little bit here during your discussion, and there it is again. Okay. You want to share that and tell what people can do with that?
International Dyslexia Association is an amazing place. It's a national organization. We have a state chapter, which is the International Dyslexia Association branch, Georgia branch, and there's fact sheets online and a helpline that you can call, and hundreds of volunteers willing to help in any way that they possibly can. So if you want to visit their website, it's idaga.org, or the national site is interdys.org, and that's interdys.org.
And we have a local phone number, too, 404-256-1232.
And
right?
you'll reach our outreach coordinator, and she is phenomenal, full of information.
Very good information, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Thank you. And when we come back, we talk to a member of a parent group that offers support for families. The tips for decoding dyslexia when we come back right here on Public Affairs on Beach.